Hello and welcome to this weekend's Punters Guide. Yes, it's dual purpose, jumps and flat to look forward to. A little later on, Jason Weaver will join us to look ahead to the final few flat races, the final Group 1 of the season, that's for sure, the Verdant Futurity at Doncaster and on the flat at Newbury as well. But as you can see, we've got radio presenter and racehorse owner and race day presenter Joel Ross to join us to look ahead to Cheltenham. The showcase meeting opens its doors at Prestbury Park. But you're going to be at Aintree. Another shout out to Aintree as well, because they open their season on Sunday. You're going to be there for Countryside Day.
Yeah, as a Man United fan, I'm going to be there on Sunday in Liverpool, just when Man United play Liverpool. So I'm going to be in the wrong city. But come on, I'm sure we'll do it. Yeah, I'm going to be there on Sunday. They're doing like the country day, and there's a falconry show and all sorts of weird stuff going on, including a Lamb Grand National. So I should try and watch some racing as well. But, you know, it should be a good day. I love Aintree as a track, obviously. It just happens to be in Liverpool where Man United are playing that day.
Yeah, it's just a bit of a shame, isn't it? In fact, usually the clocks go back tonight. Usually for this meeting, Aintree would have been an early start. You could have gone home and watched it, but not to be. Anyway, we'll move on because we want to talk about Cheltenham, of course. It's a great card this weekend. We're going to start by looking at the 220. It's a staying handicap chase. This is what the jumps is all about, isn't it? 3 mile handicap chases. And we've got Clothcap making his seasonal return at top of the weights, of course. Last seen out, beaten favourite in the Grand National.
Yeah, really, really sad. It'll be emotional this to see Sir Trevor Hemming's colours on the racecourse the first time since his sad passing. You say he pulled up in the Grand National last time. Will this just be a little run to get him fit, do you reckon, before bigger things? I'm sure he'll be well backed. It'll be really emotional if Clothcap does it, but I think we've got to look elsewhere, haven't we?
Yeah, I think we certainly have, and there's loads of opportunities, isn't there? It's a busy, competitive contest, and Kerry Lee's on fire. She's got storm control.
Well, I looked at this and somebody told me that she's only had 4 runners in the last 6 weeks, or something like that, 2 months, and all 4 have won. So, yeah, 4 runners, last couple of months, all 4 have won. Storm Control, I can see why this is fancied. Last seen in the Topham Chase. Didn't jump well, got hampered by a loose horse at the last. It's quietly back that day, though, as well, so quite fancied at 33s into 14s. The horse has won twice at Cheltenham last season. I reckon this is his track. Jockey, do you remember last year we were always talking about the jockey, Richard Patrick, and I just couldn't get him right. He's flying this season at 29%. We'll try to make all. Doesn't mind hitting a fence. He's a mini tank. He's not a Denman, but he's a mini tank. I think it will take a lot of beating this weekend.
You're sticking with Storm Control, then, are you?
Well, I looked at that, and one for a bit of value. Is it Didero Vallis, who used to be with Willie Mullins, now with Venetia, Charlie Deutsch taking the ride. Done a neck at Kelso by Kitty's Light in the last 100 yards. It's one soft and heavy. Was pulled up in the Kim Muir 3 out, never going at a big price. This is much easier. And if we get any rain overnight, and I know Venetia hates it, but you know what it's like? If we get a bit of rain overnight at 14, 16 to 1, might be worth the each way play.
Interesting then, yeah. Keep an eye on Didero Vallis for Venetia Williams. Usually comes good, of course, as you say, when the mud is flying. Just the 4 go to post for the 255 for 4-year-olds. One of them does look outclassed, 2 shots off the kid. We've got Tritonic here, who did look the best British juvenile last season. And it looks an ideal place for him to start his new season here, taking on Stepney Causeway, rattled off a 4-time in 6 weeks last season. And the one that I like is I Like to Move It, who is jumps bred over the 2 recruits from the flat.
We're on the same page here. Tritonic's probably going to go off 8 to 13, 1 to 2, something like that. That'll be the same price for Mo Salah to have a shot on target. So I know where my money would be going. Really disappointing. Beaten a long way in the Triumph Hurdle. Didn't look great. Went back to the flat on the all-weather at Chelmsford. They booked Holly Doyle that day and was 4th, beaten a couple of lengths. Then went to Ascot in the Duke of Edinburgh Stakes. Well beaten 8th there. They went to the trouble of putting Ryan Moore on that day, and Holly was on the 2nd string and actually beat Tritonic. Do you know what? Could be the best horse in the field by a long, long way. But 8 to 13, not for me. Like you say, 2 shots of tequila, completely outclassed. Stepney Causeway, Dan and Harry Skelton won the last 4 from the front. First run after a wind up, but I am with you. So I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. I like to move it. That easy win on hurdling debut at Worcester was decent for me earlier this month. The bumper forms above average. And if you ever want to book and back a Nigel Twiston Davis horse, now is the time. He's on fire at 30%. You know, throughout the season, he's just going to go down and down and down and down. And I'm with you. I like to move it. So I don't know if we're going for the 3rd favourite or the second outsider, the penultimate outsider?
Fingers crossed we don't care as long as he gets past the post.
Yeah.
In front for the Twiston Davises. And I think you said something the other week, didn't you? When the coat comes out, now Twiston Davises' strike rate seems to dip. Cracker, 3:30. I love this race. We've got 4 last time out winners, 2 former festival winners, and 2 that were beaten in a hat-trick bid last time out. This is tricky.
This is tricky, but a really good race. Really good race, this. Sky Pirate got us a 14-1 winner over the festival period. Nick Schofield was the guest, obviously. He won that easily by a short head. The Grand Annual on it. Looks really obvious, goes well fresh. However, I will go for my best bet of the weekend. My best bet of the weekend here, before midnight, for Sam Thomas and Sam Twiston Davis, the ex-Henderson horse. Now, won his last 2. It was at Chepstow and one of those jumpers bumper things at Kempton to get fit. A lot of this is on trust. Was told yesterday morning, this is really, really fancied. Really, really fancied. And when they say really, really, they mean really, really. Sam Thomas is going to have a great year. And the stable is very shrewd. Normally known for getting, big price winners or whatever. If this goes off any bigger than 4-1, I will be astonished. I think the World and His Wife will be on, and I think it'll go off favourite as well.
Yeah, on the same hymn sheet. Yeah, he's got a big chance. It's a real competitive little contest, but he's the one that may still be improving as well and could develop and certainly rise in the handicap this year before midnight. And you just mentioned, I was going to ask if you're the best bet of the day. No need to. I take it is this fella.
That was that. And just to make sure it lands, I put before midnight in there and Man United to win as well. So one of those will let us down. I don't know which one it will be. One's very fancied and the other one, not so much.
Come on, then, you mentioned it. Let's quickly get your thoughts on Sunday's game then. Do you think United will win, or everyone's tipping up the Scousers?
Yeah, I think we're getting a prize for Man United. It's just you don't know what's happening. As a long-term Man United fan, I don't know what to do. I don't know if Pogba will start. I don't know if they'll go with McFred in midfield. I don't know what their best 11 is. He doesn't know what his best 11 is. What does Sancho look like? But now he's come. Is Cavani getting a place? Is Ronaldo demanding a place? I have no idea. I think we'll go out there and we'll either win 6-0 or we'll get beaten 7-1 or something like that. I think there'll be lots of goals in it. Hopefully, it'll be a really good spectacle to watch. But unfortunately, I hate to say it, I think Mohamed Salah is the best player in the world at the moment.
Yeah, McFred sounds like something getting a happy meal, doesn't it? Right. But maybe Liverpool's day. We'll find out. You can see Cheltenham behind me, though. Great to have him back this weekend for the showcase meeting. If you're off to Aintree, come on, going to see you, aren't we, on Sunday?
Yeah, you'll see me hanging around, commentating on sheep lambs in the Lamb Grand National and trying to sneak in a few of the races. The racing's really good on Sunday. So, if you're coming along, come and say hello. You'll see me with this new stupid haircut, looking like Toby Anstis in the broom cupboard in the late 80s, early 90s.
Brilliant stuff. Entertaining as always. Cheers for Joel for joining us. We're talking about lots more racing, of course, over the weekend across all of Betfred's social media channels. If you're off to Aintree, go and say hello to him on Sunday. Enjoy the action at Cheltenham, but don't go anywhere because we're going to join Jason Weaver and get his thoughts on the flat this weekend at Newbury and Doncaster. Well, it is the final Group 1 of the season to look forward to. Before we do that, though, with Jason, let's just reflect on Champions at weekend, which I suppose officially is the end of the flat turf season, though we've got another 3 weeks and lots to look forward to as well. But we created some more new champions, Jason, Baid being the biggest of the lot.
Yeah, absolutely. Luckily for me, a couple of days after I was at Yarmouth, and I said to Jim Crowley and also to Maureen Haggis, I said, look, tell us something that we haven't heard about him previously. Don't just tell us, he's a great horse, he's a good horse. We know all that. Tell us something different about him. And it was just, Crowley was just saying that, he was even surprised with the ease at what he, the way that he beat a superstar, and considering he was on the outside of the pack as well. So he's still, despite winning, not had his ideal setup in the race, if you like, to produce his best. Brilliant that he stays in training next year, and boy, are they going to all have to really step up if they want to have a piece of him. You've got to be very, very good indeed. I mean, it's sad that we lost a a poetic flair, and he's off to Japan and everything else. That would have been great to see him go or thrown into the mix as well. But we had a great matchup, and the unbeaten horse was by far and away the best. And then you look at some of the jockeyship on the day. I tried to speak to John Gosden after he had the 1-2 in the novice up there as well. And he said, put his hand on my shoulder. He said, best we don't talk about it. So he was not happy at all with the way that some of his horses were ridden on the day. And he just didn't want to get into it. So, a little bit of it. We're so used to him and Dettori having great days, aren't we? Because they are the top level, top notch performers. But maybe they had a first 45 minutes like Man U yesterday, and the 3 in the second half, they didn't have time to get it back.
I'm sure they will in the next few weeks or even next few seasons. Of course, let's look ahead to the weekend action. Then it is the final Group 1. And interesting you mentioned about John Gosden, things may have not gone right there. I think you could maybe label that season for Aidan O'Brien, although he's won classics here and in Ireland and in France. It's not been a vintage year for Ballydoe, but it could all change because you've got this Luxembourg in the Verdun Futurity, a race that you've kind of farmed down the years. But we've also got the second and third from the Dewhurst and Royal Patronage, of course, who's a good winner, won the Acre and then went on to win at Newmarket. And we might just find a good level of where the English and the Irish juveniles sit after this contest.
Yeah, look, Aidan has had a good year. We keep banging on about him he's had numerous classics. He's produced a champion in St. Mark's Basilica. What he hasn't done is had a juvenile Group 1 winner over here. That's and normally he's so dominant in that division going forward. I have no idea what to expect from Luxembourg. I mean, he beat a small field pretty easily. I know that the second of Bolger's was rated 102, but he's got an awkward way of going, hasn't he? He's got a high head carriage. He sort of has his tail half cocked and stuck out. Normally when horses carry their tail like that, there's something along the top line, along the back or something that's not quite right. If that's the case and they can sort it out, he might be an absolute rocket ship, but he just looked as if he had an awkward way of going for me. You mentioned the other horses. I mean, Sissoko, the market will tell us as to what's expected. He was a 6-length winner at the Curragh. When I look at all the others, I have to say, the more I've watched back Bayside Boy win at Doncaster over the 7, he beat Reach for the Moon. Admittedly, the race wasn't run to suit him. His run in the Dewhurst behind Native Trail was really, really good. Very strong. I mean, he was flat out when they went down into the dip. He was nearly hitting the line stronger than the winner. I know the angle changes a bit, but for all the world, he's an absolute ready-made juvenile. This is his season. Make no mistake about that. He could well go on to be a decent 3-year-old, but he's very, very small and neat. So this is his time now. And in the juvenile division, a testing mile at Doncaster might just suit him down to the ground.
Yeah, interesting. He's a horse that's been on my radar, and it wasn't eye-catching, but it was like he kind of played for third and thinking he can't beat Native Trail. He's got that Donny form, so fingers crossed for Bayside Boy. Yeah, we'll just go over to Newbury as well, because we've got a couple of Group 3s to look forward to over on the card in Berkshire. Again, the juveniles in the Horace Hill. And here we've got more Doncaster form. Noble Truth and Hu Yamal met earlier on in the season at Town Moor, and then Noble Truth went on to finish second at Longchamp on the Yark weekend.
Yeah, he ran second in the Lagardère, didn't he, to Angel Blur of Rafe Beckett, who's an absolute tough as teak little juvenile. That's where the bar is set, and that's the best bit of form. It's forecast to be very, very heavy conditions at Newbury. He proved that he handled those conditions over in France. When you're looking for other horses in there, the only one that I can see scaring the favourite, really, and I was very taken with his win at Yarmouth, again, lucky enough to be there a few weeks ago. And the horse Light Infantry of David Simcox, he was not extended to win by 6 lengths. He was a pretty impressive winner. Looking back through pedigree, form, everything else, he should be okay. It's a bit of an extreme. It is a bit of an extreme, so we may well have a freak result, if you like. But if there was one that was going to cause the upset, Light infantry. David Simcock doesn't just throw them into Group 3 company on their second start unless he feels that they really are ready for it. So he's a fascinating contender for me. I mean, when I look at the others, Cresta, Dubai Poet's possibly going to appreciate coming back down in trip. Ran over the mile last time. And that form's pretty strong behind Caribus. But I have to say, Light Infantry looks as if he could be destined to be pretty good.
Elkins remain unbeaten, then make it 2 from 2 pitched, as you say, into Group 3. And then we've got the St. Simon Stakes, this Group 3 over a mile and a half. 7 declared. We've got Siskiny, the likely favourite after winning at Newmarket. But we've got your old mate Max Vagan, who nearly did you a very good turn, got the place money in the Ebor.
Oh, I think he should have won the Ebor, shouldn't he? You know, I really do feel, although the form has been frank since, with Sonny Boy Liston coming out and winning the Irish St. Ledger, he ran at Newmarket. It was good ground, and he looked like an old tractor on that ground, didn't he? You know, he just sort of stabs away and went up and down on the spot. Bottomless ground is absolute key for him. And I can't say that Siskiny won't go under these conditions, because he's won with soft in the description. He was gelded prior to his last run. Admittedly, that was in lesser company. So he now goes in against the big boys, and he's a little way clear on official ratings with a mark of 111. And he gets, about the £3 weight for age allowance at the moment. So look, he's a worthy favourite. Max Vega, Mirando hasn't won this year, but these are his conditions. Absolutely loves it. The softer, the better. So there could easily be a turn up here. I will give Max Vega one more chance. Hector Crouch, who has ridden him, he goes up to Doncaster. He rides for Clive Cox up there. Rob Hornby gets the leg up. And just a change of hands. And under these conditions, around about 5 to 1, I think he's the play.
Yeah, then Max Vega then to put right the wrong of the Ebor maybe in that Group 3 St. Simon Stakes. So we've got loads of races to look forward to. They'll be across all the Betfred channels this weekend with the Jason handicaps at Doncaster as well. But is there anything that stands out as a potential best bet on the card on Saturday?
I think that, when Aidan O'Brien's looking for that 10th victory in the Vertum Futurity, it was the Racing Post Trophy, he's bidding to equal Sir Henry Cecil's record in the contest. I think that Bayside Boy has been massively overlooked in the market. He's underestimated. All the form ties in. The Irish have already been absolutely battered, haven't they? Point Lonsdale by Native Trail, and he was hitting the line strong behind him. I think they've forgotten about him. And of course, all the weight of support will be for Luxembourg.
Well, then Bayside Boy, a little bit of value in the final Group 1 of this season. Thanks to Jason for joining us. Thanks to Joel for his look at Cheltenham as well. Cheltenham is back this weekend, the final Group 1. Whatever you're back in, enjoy it, and also the very best of luck.